Well, we're selling it to Khaliji, which means that if you're an Arab, you don't have to even be from this country. If you're from Saudi, if you're from Bahrain, if you're from UAE, you can buy it and own it and keep it. But if you're not, you can't. So that would be one thing if I was in America and they were saying, oh, if you're not American, you can't buy it. Well, cool. Well, this is the country. They'll even let other countries buy it as long as it's an Arab country. That's called racism. That's called racism. I go to Mexico and buy land. They'll let me buy land even though I'm not Mexican. Right? So why is it you go to America or you go to Mexico or you go to Ghana or you go to all these other places, they'll let you buy land, they'll let you live, they'll let you do this. You be in Saudi forever and can't become a citizen. Why? Your blood isn't Saudi. Same thing in Qatar. Your blood's not Qatari. That's racism. So it's like all of this goofy, like Malcolm was super lying when he was talking about in Islam, there's no Arab above black. There's no, stop it, bro. Like they put Arab blood above everything, which is insane because in the Quran, it's supposed to say we're all Muslim brothers. Why the f*** only the Arab brothers could buy land? Because we're not all Muslim brothers. You're lying. Wow. So, people just got to say what's real. And if you ask Arab Muslims, they're like, no, we're equal. In Islam, it's equal. Like, in Islam, it's equal. But in you, it's not equal. You are not Islam. You just a man with the frailties of a man. So, like, I don't believe that hype. Man. He would be lying like a
Quran line. You were saying when you were reading the Quran, like basically, like it was kind of beautiful, even thinking about it, where you were talking about how you're saying, like, I guess with the whole start of Islam and everything, like even the Jews, like basically saying they're the chosen people, when the Muslims are also a part of this land and are also Semites just like them. So how are you saying that you guys are the only Semites that are being delivered when you're casting us away when we share the same lineage essentially? And that's how they started. And they're saying that even like all people of the book, if you are if you're a Jew, if you're Christian, and if you're Muslim, we're all getting to heaven because we all believe in the same God.
That's right.
But then, what you're talking about, when you're talking about the Qataris and you're talking about these Saudis who are going against that, because you're technically raised in a Christian society, so why couldn't you do whatever? Like, I don't even understand.
Well, even if you're a Muslim and you've taken Shahada, they still don't give a
Yeah, it's terrible.
They still just treat you like you're an other. Which is ironic because when you actually trip on it, even in Iran, there's Jews in Iran, there's Christians in various parts of the Middle East. Because they have Arab blood, they're more favored than you would be as a Muslim, no matter where you're from or how long Islam goes back in your family. It's blood. So it's based solely on racism. It's the clearest example of racism that you might ever want to find. But the Quran is very clear in saying that, it's supposed to be equal, but we all know that there can't be any equality in your religion if the religion comes in a particular language. Arabic, the people who grew up on Arabic are going to have an advantage. The people who are new to Arabic are going to have a disadvantage. I mean, it's just, but what's worse is the practitioners. That's always the issue, right? It's how do the Muslims behave? You guys may remember I did that session recently on the Moroccan girl that I pissed her off, and she was like, "You're just a slave." No, yeah. Oh, yeah. What did she say? Yeah, I forget how it started. She's like, "But you're a slave." I was like, well, "Actually, you're a slave because you're here in this country as a laborer to work. I'm here as a wealthy tourist."
And so your descendants are slaves and all that garbage.
Right.
Yeah.
But in her head, that's the best she can come up with. Now, in reality, did she actually? No, she just had her feelings hurt, and she wanted to grasp at straws to say something insulting. But they keep that in their back pocket. But she's a Muslim. But she'll still insult her black Muslim brother with this kind of a thing. Even though Bilal was an enslaved African who the Prophet Muhammad himself favored, and he was the one that created what they call the adhan, which is the call to prayer. So somewhat of a favorite position, and you'll hear of Muslims named Bilal. But religion is just like any other idea set. Often not transformative enough, and people go under these names and these cloaks, but is just like a jacket, and they take it off or they don't wear it enough, you know? And so I tend to not believe any of it. I've been to many Christian countries, I've been to many Muslim countries, and the difference in the country is remarkable, which tells you that Islam is not the defining factor of why this country is a good or bad country. You go to Morocco, prostitution everywhere. Some of them thicker than a Snicker too, but disease-ridden, dirty scoundrels. And they even use Islam to scam. Marquette, what do you mean? Here's an example. Say I go rent a hotel room from this hotelier. I rent one hotel room, and then I go to the discotheque because even though it's a Muslim country, they still have nightclubs and they serve alcohol. And I meet a young lady, I take the young lady back to the hotel, we're walking up to my suite. And then he says, ho, who is that? I said, you know, you heard me? Yeah. He says, whoa, this is a Muslim country. You can't take her up there in a Muslim country. I was like, oh, okay. So he's like, I tell you what, brother, this is what you do, Habibi. I will sell you another room, okay? Because it's a Muslim country, you guys can't share rooms. I'll sell you another room, and then you both have a key card, and then you go up. If you go to each other's room, okay, but I have to sell you another room. Scamming. There's no difference. Well, there is a difference. An additional $400 in hotel fees that he's going to also ask you to pay in cash.
Yeah.
Because that's off the books. Right. And that's going into his pocket. And he's using the religion to scam you. Correct. But if you actually look deeper, and this is with all due respect to Islam, if you look at the history of Saudi Arabia, you look at the Kaaba and various things like that, and you, again, I told you, government is all about money. Sometimes your religion is too. A lot of cities like this one, for example, would anyone come here if it wasn't for tourism and the suits and things like that? No. It's kind of like a random place that's hard to get to. There's not a major airport. There's a specific reason to come here, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Cities have a lot more money and wealth when there's commerce, trade, and tourism. So if you have a place like Saudi Arabia, which is very inhospitable and hot and unpleasant, really no reason to go there. But if you organize a religion around one particular location in Saudi Arabia called the Kaaba, and you say every Muslim has to come here at least once for Hajj, pilgrimage, or for Umrah, you have to come here. You've just ensured billions of persons coming through your city every year, and just oodles and oodles of a never-ending flow of money, because you said that this is where the holy site is. That's a big win for somewhere that's basically just a sandy, hot-ass, unpleasant place. Hell of a trick, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And then you research Islam and you find that Allah was the name of one of the gods. There were many gods among the Arabs who were, what's that word? Pagans. Okay. Before Islam. Correct. They were pagans and they worshipped many gods. Had damn near a new god for every year. It should be every day of the year. One was named Allah. All the others seemed to disappear. Kept this one. And there was a holy place that was, people always came to meet, and the Kaaba happens to be in the same place. It's all fascinating things. And anytime you study great figures, transformative figures in history, even if you look at how Christianity took hold in Europe, they don't destroy what you have before the religion. They put the religion on top of what you have, so it's easier for average people to adapt to it. And so, like Christmas, that's why Christmas is so pagan. That's why Easter has bunny rabbits. Isn't Easter about the birth of, no, that's Christmas, birth of Jesus. What's Easter?
The death.
The resurrection. Oh, the death.
The
Resurrection or the death? Which one?
Both.
Resurrection. Great.
Yeah.
Where do the eggs and the bunny rabbits come
Exactly.
in? It's the paganism, which predated the religions. Correct. And when the emperor of fill-in-the-blank European power decides that I'm a Christian, we're all going to be Christians, and you put it on top of what the people already have to make them take it easier. That's how you start asking, where the hell did Christmas trees come from? Where did Santa Claus come from? Why do we know Santa Claus? Why do we know Rudolph, Blitzen, what's the other names? Dixon. Why the f does anybody know that? Like, why? It's so pagan. And then you got people who really believe this deep as hell, not realizing that it was just made up by somebody like you and I.
Yeah.
And the mythology is so strong and persuasive, and we don't ever get deprogrammed. The crazy thing is, one thing I noticed, people will criticize some of the things I say and teach. They're like, oh man, like that's a cult. Nigga, a cult of exercising and not drinking alcohol and standing up for yourself? Cults are supposed to be bad. So they end in you taking your life. They have some psychopath that thinks that God. You know, that's what a cult is. But you never hear them say like, and come just like troll like Adam 22 puts his wife out as a prostitute. That's cool. Or 4 Extra now is really popular. Shout out to 4 Extra. I'm gonna beat your ass when I see you. Shout out to 4 Extra. But he's over here like, yeah, cuz, you know, cuz I was catching so many fades, cuz. You know what I'm saying, cuz? Like, Vernon Crip. A street gang is not a cult. This is a cult, but a street gang ain't a cult. Right? And that definitely ends in death. But they don't have a big problem with that. The gangs that are so dangerous, they don't speak against it. Or the rap music, when they're talking about Molly Percocet, singing about it, that's spiritual. Kind of like gospel music. That's not a cult, but that is cool.
That cold ass fruit on it.
Yeah, yeah. So what I see is that the people that accuse the existence of cult, they themselves are a cult. And it's a cult of bad things trying to contend with a group of good things.
Right. And that's what this is fighting against. And when I'm around you guys, like that's what I feel. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I really feel like it's really like Sass or nothing. It's us versus them. Like I've even like I got homies that I don't even kick it with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm cool with them. You know, like I'm chilling. Like, but I'm separated because like this is better, bro. In the sense of like this has changed my life. This like you cats are like people that I really with, man. And I think it's just like, oh man, like I thought you were just going through a season of change. Like, bro, I really lost weight, bro. I'm getting more money. You know what I'm saying? Like my relationships have gotten better. Like dealing with you guys. Like it's like, bro, like. No, it's like I'm being a better person, and you want me to be regular? Like y'all, that don't even make no sense to me. Like y'all all want to be exceptional. Why would I want to be around this? And I'm supposed to like even what you were talking about with Malcolm X, it's like, you know, like being loyal to the nation instead of like I'm not gonna be loyal to like some that's like not loyal to me.
And that's most. That's most. The level of scamming that we're suffering is extraordinary. Like even like I went to Berkeley, which is a good school, and I took a degree in political science. No one ever stopped me and said, "Youngblood, that's how are you gonna get paid in this? Like you're gonna starve to death with that." I didn't have one job in political science because there are no jobs in political science. Like no one had that conversation. It's an ultra scam for a poor kid from the ghetto because you don't know, and your moms don't know. My mom didn't even know Berkeley was a good college, honestly. She didn't even know till like one day she was at work and one of her colleagues had asked her about like, oh, where's your son? You got a little boy, right? And she was like, yeah, he just went off to college. She was like, well, where'd he go to college? Did he go like Pasadena City College or something? She's like, oh yeah, he went to Berkeleyers. They're like, Berkeley? She was like, yeah. They're like, up north? She's like, yeah, up north. I drove them up. There's like 5 hours drive. They're like, University of California, Berkeley? She's like, I think that's what it is. And then she called me up. She was like, you go to University of California, Berkeley, right? I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay. She's like, yeah, University of California, Berkeley. And then they're like, oh. And then now my mom's like, bring me a sweatshirt when you go there. Bring me a sweatshirt. But for the poor people, they're actually getting tricked into that stuff. A, the concept of college. B, the concept that you should go to college to discover yourself and figure it out.
Right.
See the idea that all fields of study are okay.
Right.
No, some fields of study are very bourgeois, and you should only go into that field of study if you have pre-existing connections to link you in at the top.
Right.
You cannot be a poor Latino kid, a poor black kid, a poor white kid, or a poor Asian kid who's unconnected take a degree in sociology and expect that to make you money.
Right.
If you're a poor black kid, you get a degree in sociology, you might become a social worker, and you're going to cap out at $50,000, $60,000, and you're going to have hard, emotionally challenging work. If you're an upper class white kid, you take a degree in sociology, who the knows what you might end up doing? You might end up with a goddamn professorship.
Right.
You know, you might end up working as a clerk for this or that judge. You might end up at a consulting firm with McKinsey or Accenture because your dad introduced you, because your dad's a partner at Accenture, right? So you could go major in some and then get a real job afterward. You didn't need real skills to get a real job because you have real connections. And they don't teach everyone that, so you're going in getting the scammed out of you.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, man. Like, this world is filled with so many situations where you're being bamboozled and lied to, like, straight to your face.
They want to lie to us. Yeah. Go ahead.
The level of cognitive dissonance I've just started to notice over like the last couple like months. People can literally hold two conflicting thoughts in their head, challenge you on it, right? And then in your head like, but you do this. I remember growing up, this is always wild to me. I remember I would see people diss like cigarettes, but then smoke weed, and I'd be like, they'd be like, but weed is a plant. I'm like, I swear to God, tobacco is a plant. Like I swear to God. Like, do you hear yourself
coca leaf?
Right.
Right.
Coca's a plant as well.
So I be sitting back and I'm like, it'd be so hard for me to hear other people nowadays and take their advice, because I'm like, especially when they get older, because I'm like, y'all are the people who left us this entire world to deal with because you did nothing about it. And it just gets progressively like worse, because I start to think about like, oh, man, like y'all voted these politicians into place. Like, you people made the world like this. You raise your kids horribly, and then we have to deal with them. I'm starting to think like if people really wanted their kids to if they really cared about their kids, they would have raised them the right way, so that no one has to put hands on them.
Right.
But sadly, somebody does have to put hands on them. Legitimately, I'm starting to come to the conclusion that
everybody can get like a
their parents didn't care about them, so why should I? I obviously didn't care about them because they didn't raise them well enough. Like, I've seen people cuss their parents out. I've seen men on a plane. I've seen kids run up and down the lanes. Like, why do you think that people can hold these contradictions in thoughts so well in their head?
I always say that sometimes, a given question might not even be worth figuring out the answer to.
That was good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't try to figure out why people who are up are up. I figure out how I can get right. So I look at the situation. I could get mad that you got a lot of folks who are knuckleheads or dimwits. And instead of getting mad that they're dimwits, I say, well, that means much less competition at the top. A world with a higher number of people who are low IQ means that I won't have to compete with so many bright people. And in fact, when I'm playing the stock market aggressively or taking on risk in real estate or any endeavor, I say to myself, well, if I go broke, there's probably legions of people who went broke before me, because I'm smarter than they are and I'm very careful. So before I go broke, there'd probably be a world revolution, because that would have meant a lot of people went into poverty first. So I tend to look at it and say, these people are examples of what not to be. These people are not impediments, but stepping stones. And then I move from there. It's just a thing of maintaining your focus and also being real with yourself. Sometimes we lie to ourselves and we allow others to lie to us, and that's going to be your biggest challenge, is finding the truth and then abiding by it and respecting it. I just reached out to my video editor recently. He keeps putting modern women this. So he'll say, modern women are so delusional, or modern. I said, bro, stop putting modern. Don't put modern. They've been like this before. They did not become like this. Like, whether you take the story of Adam and Eve as a literal story that happened, or just a teachable lesson, like, this is how they've been since could write. And they wrote about it. This is not new. So as long as we know the reality of them, like, we have to stop getting shocked about it and start getting active about it.
Sure.
It's like we keep on getting shocked and then talking about stuff. I don't know why people are under this false idea that awareness has meaning. Like, if you talk, people are like, oh, you know, the Jews did this, the Jews are controlling that. I'm like, great, bro, that's fantastic. But if you really care about it, like, what are you gonna do? I haven't heard anybody say what they're gonna do. I've not heard a single soul say what they're going to do.
Posted on their Instagram story.
Right, posted on their IG. Now they've waged the revolution on Twitter. But, you know, one thing you never hear the Jews do is keep talking about what the Muslims are doing or what the Palestinians are doing. They're busy working. They ain't got time to talk. They organizing. They got everyone in Israel has to participate in the military. Women, men, they all get training. That's,
a lot of them are out here.
Yeah,
Meeting them.
absolutely.
Came out from the war.
Yeah. That's the key, is the action. It's not like, you know, the Jews are doing this. Sure, buddy, man. If that's the case, what you gonna do? If you're not gonna do anything, shut up.
I be chopping it up with Mitchell. He be saying this. What was it? Where you at, Mitchell?
Right there.
Oh yeah. Mitchell be saying this. We on the phone. I'm like, man. So like, you think men gonna come to a realization of what's happening? Like, and Mitchell be like, Jabri, are you telling me the same dudes that'll sit there and watch podcasts, the same dudes that they tell them what to do, these guys are gonna come save us? These guys? Good point. Nah, no revolution's coming soon. Not with these guys.
Yeah, and truth be told, even if what people say about the Jews is true, I'd much rather try to figure out what they're doing that I can do, as opposed to figure out how to defeat them. Because, you know, frankly, I can't clearly think of a situation which I've had a direct interaction with the Jews where they did me dirty. So I'd much try to figure out, what are they doing that's successful? How can I emulate it? How can I partner with them? And if none of those things are possible, then we got to go directly at them. But otherwise, it's like, you know, like, how can we get on? You know, most of the people that are blaming the Jews, they're really doing that so that they don't have to blame themselves. You know how many times I heard people blame the Jews? I'm like, they couldn't have done this much stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've done some stuff, but everything? It's like people blame them for I'm like, that's just not possible. So people use that to explain their own failings. Like, for example, black people. Oh, the Jews own, like you heard Dr. Umar, no, the Jews own the hip-hop industry. It's like, no, blacks failed to be good business people. They failed to adequately commercialize their own culture. That's all there is to that. And they also allowed outsiders into their culture to practice it and monopolize it, and they celebrate. This is how stupid blacks are. Another part of my series called Dumb Things Black People Say. Oh, we'll let him come to the barbecue. You heard it? You heard him saying this dumb shit? I wish I could just beat this shit out of black people in America without going to jail. I wish I could. I would beat the living snot out of them, because this is what they're saying. We regard ourselves so low that because you can dance or sing, you're one of us. Our culture is so meaningless. Chinese guy, you can recite a song, you're one of us. What dumb people have such low self-regard that there's no standards to join?
Right.
Who wants to be a part of a club anybody can get into?
Right. It's not exclusive.
If you want to convert to Judaism, my understanding is that you go and the rabbi turns you away 3 times. If you want to become a Muslim, you have to make a statement of faith. You have to learn the Quran in Arabic. If you want to come to the cookout, you have to do some stupid and some dumbass black person like, oh, he could come to the cookout. And why is it that your culture is so low that the hallmark of your culture is barbecue chicken? Is it like, we're barbecuing? That's like the hallmark of our culture. White people don't have cookouts? Latinos don't have cookouts? Like, you have such little culture left. It's disgusting. So these are the things that they say, and it shows you like the very low levels, but they blame the Jews on, can you blame people for seeing an opportunity to make $1 and saying, okay, you can rap, right? Blackie? Okay, good. So, all right, Darky, you can rhyme really well. It's very rhythmic, sounds good. I'm gonna give you, for your rapping, like, let's put together an album, and you know what, I'll give you a contract, and we'll make it so that your equity vests over 4 years with a 1-year clip. Do you understand that? No? Okay, that's fine, Scoop. So what we'll do is we'll give you some royalty. Do you know what royalty? No, you don't? Okay. I'll give you an advance. I'll just pay you $200,000. Do you know what $200,000 is? But yeah. Great. I'll give you $200,000. Make your rap song, and don't worry about anything but rapping. You can rap, right? Just rap.
Where do I sign?
Exactly. I'll handle the rest.
Gotcha Records.
I'll handle the rest. But it's not Gotcha Records. It's business. Because a businessman is trying to get the best deal for who?
Himself.
For me.
Facts.
So that's just business. But here's the worst part. If the other monkeys were smarter, because here's the thing, you can't just walk into a Jewish neighborhood off of some, hey guys, I'm one of you. That is not gonna fly at all.
I tried that yesterday.
See, right?
My girls.
Yeah, it's not gonna fly. But blacks, hip hop is a black house. People hate the foundation of Black Americans so much. They try to lie and steal the art. No, Jamaicans created that. Name 5 Jamaican rappers. No, that started in Africa. Name 5 African rappers.
It's popping right now.
Or when rap started. How about that?
Bingo.
They try to steal all of our but you can't blame them because we're so weak and unorganized. So what happens, you create this black music form, right? Then Vanilla Ice shows up, and what do you guys do? Oh, he's invited to the barbecue. Yeah, look, he could dance. He makes a killing. Or Beastie Boys, and I'm not saying Vanilla Ice couldn't dance his ass off. The Beastie Boys show up, and they claim they're the first rap group, which is a lie. But the Beastie Boys show a bunch of white boys. What do? Let them do their thing. And that's been the effeminate nature of the black masses the whole time. The whole time. You let them walk into your and do their thing. Now, if Eminem would have showed up, even though he has bars, and I was like in the 3rd grade when he started cutting, like, bro has bars. Back then, I think he's garbage now because he didn't have any musicality. But when Eminem showed up and black people were like, you are not allowed to rap because rap is a black thing. You have to be black to rap. If you're rapping and you're not black, it's not rap. If they said it like that, if you're rapping and you're not black, then it's not rap. And they very well could have, because they created it. They really could have kept it locked off. Then today it will be dominated by blacks. You know who created it, you know who owns it, and you know who profits from it. But the blacks are so stupid and so open and effeminate and nice, and they always want to get along, and they want to be loved by others. That's what they want. They have low self-esteem. They want to be loved by others. So they're always like, oh, come on in. They're so welcoming. You go any other people, they don't welcome you like that. That's why the blacks like that. Because they have low self-esteem and low standards. So I don't want to hear no about the Jews stole that from you. You went into that Jewish man's office and started tap dancing for him. And then when he gave you that contract, you kept tap dancing. Yeah, but literally, that was crazy. You saw that? That was disgusting. Yeah, that was crazy. So I don't want to hear anybody blaming the Jewish man. And when people say like, oh, that was a bad contract, they also don't factor in this. And I've seen this as a business guy many times. If you living in the hood, you got 3 kids and no income, you're fresh out of prison, but you got bars, but you got no income and no opportunity for gainful employment because you're a felon. And I offer you $100,000, which, what do you got right now? Nothing? Okay, great, $100,000. You're gonna sign the contract. And then when you become multi-platinum and you're like, hey, I sold 1 million records, why do I only have $100,000? That's what you signed for. But then you're like, but I sold 1 million records. What they don't realize is like, no, you didn't sell 1 million records. We sold 1 million records. Then you're like, but you made $1 million. And then you're like, did we make $1 million? Like, no, I made $1 million. And the reason is because the truth is, got talent. You got bars, but he got bars, he got bars, he got bars, he got bars, he got bars. It's a lot of you. It's only one of me. You need this Jewish businessman to invest capital, use a distribution platform, market you, and get people to listen to whatever you're saying, whether it's good or not. Because some rappers suck, like Lil Nas X. Trash. But we can get it played and we can get some money pulled out off of it. And then you can talk about, well, what about the Jay-Z and the Master P and all? Shout out to these guys. They're phenomenal. Love to see it. It's not enough of them. And black people didn't protect it. But then you got dumb people like Dr. Umar, like, the Jews control hip-hop. That is a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you say like that, that doesn't help. What that means is that this young kid who was about to try to drop an album, he thinks that it's okay and that he should, and it's the norm to go under some Jewish guy. Because he's hearing people like Dr. Umar say, Jews control hip-hop. So if I'm a Jew and I show up and I say, hey, I can sign you, doesn't it sound right? It sounds right, right?
Why not?
Dr. Umar said Jews control hip-hop. I'm a Jew offering you a hip-hop contract. That works, right? So he's putting forth the rhetoric that reinforces the very thing he claims to not want. But how the could you trust him as a Pan-Africanist that don't want to live in Africa? The are we talking about? How you trust him been open the school for 15 years?
That's crazy. I donated to that too.
I mean, how in the hell you mentioned the school is in kindergarten is getting a master's degree? Still ain't done. You know what kind of shit is this, right? And it's like, how you trust these? But black people are an ignorant people who have been conditioned to listen to celebrities. That's why when the Democrats were trying to brainwash us, they bring out Meg Thee Stallion. That was an embarrassment.
Beyonce, Oprah.
Yeah, that's an embarrassment.
Who else they bring out?
It doesn't even matter. It ain't
I'm trying to
matter.
figure out who all the fake influence they tried to put on us.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. But you know,
That was a real thing.
the thing that people don't realize, they might say, well, why do you attack another black man? Because he's wrong. And everyone needs to know. And I don't want anyone following it. So yeah, we will destroy him with love. And we will accept him into this thing of ours, the superior way. And you'll see the same thing. Like people lie and act like Europeans all get along. Look at Otto von Bismarck. He said the great questions of our day will be settled not by majority votes, but by blood and iron. He didn't say, except if you're white, then we'll just talk it out. He didn't say that. No, he says, listen, you're going to fall in line. People say the most ignorant shit, and that just shows their foolishness. Alexander the Great, he was a conqueror. Well, let's look at Julius Caesar. He was genocidal. He wasn't committing genocide on Africans. He was doing genocide on whites. There were people, the Gauls, there were people getting eradicated. So at the end of the day, something has to dominate. We just have to make sure that the right thing is dominating.
I don't know if you noticed, but the traffic in Vegas is like slowed down tremendously. Like from venues to like people like 5 feet or no more. And I started recently going to the gym, and I'm noticing a lot of cats going to the gym because they depressed.
A lot of what?
They go to the gym because they just depressed. Like they gave up on life. So cats at the gym, like at a local gym, like an EOS or something like that. I'm like, I was chopping up with some dudes. I'm like, man, you like, what's the chick like talking to in here? Dude looked me dead in my eyes and said, man, you don't talk to girls in here, man. I was like, wait, what? Like, wait, hold up. Wait, run that back. What'd you say? He said, you don't talk to girls in here? I was like, wait, you come here to work out? I was like, wait, what? This sounds nuts. Then he looked at his homeboy and said, do you agree that coming to the gym is not about talking to girls? I was like, yo, this is wild. Like, cats really gave up, and they in the gym getting good physiques, but not howling to no at all in the process of it.
You know,
I'm starting to say, I'm starting to look at this like, man, I wonder where do you feel like incentive is in terms of for the average man, and how America has like kind of constructed itself around this this feminine matriarchy way, and even like in the sense of like how the digital space has affected it. You know, gambling, you can do it online. You ain't gotta go to the casino now.
The West has reorganized itself in a way that's extremely destructive, and so You mentioned something that is a microcosm. Grown men thinking it's weird that grown men are talking to women. That's gay. But what it is a symptom of are bigger things being like moving in the society. So when you have empowered that part of the human pairing, the woman that should not be empowered, and you've empowered her in a way that puts her in an unnatural position and leaves her confused and unguided, and in her confusion she tries to emulate the man rather than follow the man. She emulates the man. What do? We work. So now they call themselves a career woman. What takes time for us? Well, to accumulate, to get power, and they're seeking power. So they're going to become a doctor, and then by the time they're ready to get married and have kids, they're too old. That's why we hear so much more about freezing your eggs as though that's like natural or normal, that's right? Crazy. It's insane. It's vile. But what happens is they're either having no kids, they're having fewer kids. So you have a declining birth rate, and we see declining population across the West. But it's mostly going to occur in the upper class and the middle class. Those are who are intellectually capable. But the lower classes, they just keep going. And the irony is that while the upper and middle class say that they can't afford to have kids, or they don't have time to have kids, they're using their time and their money to let the lowest classes afford to have kids. Isn't that ironic? Yes. So you'd be better off maybe just being poorer and having kids? Who knows? But one thing I'll tell you for sure that doesn't make a damn bit of sense is the idea that you should toil all your life, be a good person, and still feel like you don't have the time, you don't have the capital to procreate, to give your mother grandchildren, to continue your lineage. That's strange. I was just looking at and women make the weirdest excuses because we're so brainwashed in this society, which is very unhealthy and increasingly mentally unhealthy as women get influence. Woman said, oh, you know, we can't have kids like we used to. The food's no good now. The food's all poison. I said, do you really think that we have significantly worse food in America than we did time ago? Like, you know, some things. I was like, but I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that black people were coming out of recent enslavement and had great nutrition. I just find it hard to believe that blacks came out of being actual slaves and they came out of being actual slaves when you were fed the worst parts of the foulest beast. Chitlins, hog maws, neck bones. You still eat like a slave to this day. I was raised on this, call it soul food, when it really doesn't nourish anything, definitely not the soul. So you telling me that my grandmother raised on hog maws? That doesn't even sound good. I don't even know what a hog mog is. Does anyone actually know what a hog mog is?
I don't know what the hell that is.
Nigga, what is a hog maw?
What part is that?
Chitlins are pig guts, and they smell like actual shit, and you have to clean them just to cook them. So you telling me my grandma raised on chitlins had better nutrition than you? There's not a chance in hell, you stupid, that my old black ass grandmother, no, black as hell, my old black ass grandmother who dropped out of school in the 3rd grade, who literally picked cotton into adulthood, that you don't have better nutrition than her. I'll tell you the difference. You're over here like, oh, I can't have many kids as her because nutrition is different, the food's poison. No, she wasn't on drugs. She didn't get on birth control at 12 years old and ride that through for a decade, destroying her natural cycles and rhythms. Did you factor that in? She didn't use Midol to deal with her period. She just dealt with it because she's a woman. Did you factor that in? She ain't used Tylenol every time she had a hiccup. Did you factor that in? You're lying to yourself. There's no way in hell slaves have better diets than you. So these hoes are lying, man. And a part of the lie is to protect their ego and their excuses. Because what they're finding is that they're less of a woman than their grandmother used to be. You good? Go ahead, buddy. Around, I might help you. Slow ass. You hear it? Yeah. Really thugging out here, boy. Now imagine if he had 5 sons. I'm talking about. You shouldn't have to lift the thing. Have 5 sons. Yeah, and we let these women get out of their position and they don't want to bear children. And just a little bit of game for you guys watching. If you ever with a chick and she's like, and you like really rocking with shorty, you know, you dating her, it's your girlfriend, it's your fiance, and she's talking about don't come in me. Maybe she's a whore, I don't know. Maybe she's a whore, maybe she's dating other dudes. But it's like, shorty, what's on your itinerary? Like, you grown enough to have sex. You're in a relationship with me. Like, why can't you have kids? I mean, it's something, and you should ask yourself, if you smashing her raw and she's saying, don't come to me, you should be asking, why am I smashing her raw? You should probably be using a condom because probably somebody else is smashing her raw.
Damn.
Because by the time she's willing to be smashed by you raw, she should be willing to have your kids. I'm gonna say that one more time. If she's willing to be smashed by you raw, she should be willing to have your kids. And you should be willing to impregnate her. And I don't want to hear any lies from anybody about I can't afford it. And came across the border yesterday in America. They ain't got green cards, blue cards, passport, driver's license, and they could afford it. Why you can't afford it? Like, we have to stop with the lies, man. I had a homie named Danny in my hood. His father literally speaks no English to this day. I don't know how you could. That's damn near an accomplishment. Like, no, for real. If you can spend 40 years in a country, you still don't speak none of that, that's an accomplishment. You're like, your ass got to try. But then the balling though, he's like, I don't speak English, but I speak enough Spanish to organize a construction company. You heard me, and get paid. I know numbers in English to get paid. So if he can get paid, why you can't get paid? And also, you gotta stop letting these hoes lie to you. Hoes say the most ludicrous shit, and we act like it makes sense. Like, this would get me mad. Hoes say this. Now, this don't apply to me because I'm a super player. I'm talking to you humans. A hoe would say this, and this is hoe logic. So I got to give some pimp philosophy. A hoe would say this. A hoe would say, well, yeah, I'll let you have 2 girlfriends or 2 wives if you could afford it. Bitch, what you mean if I could afford it? It should be cheaper for me. Because listen, you got a job and she got a job. Add it up. You don't know how to add? How does adding equal subtraction in your mind?
Oh, that's deep.
Right? We're wealthier together.
For sure.
Adding does not equal subtraction. So what they're actually telling you is that I'm just a form of a that you cannot currently afford.
Nice.
But if you had more money, I would be a different woman to you. But I am in fact a prostitute, but you have to pay for me to do certain tricks.
For sure. Yeah.
That's just a trick I ain't gonna pull out for you. But if you bag right, I do have the trick. I just ain't pulling it out. But I got it.
And they be trying to leverage that too, bro. And that's why, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be like weak. You can't fold.
I mean, it's a super lie when they're saying, yes, I would do it if he had enough money.
And it's still not good enough either.
Yeah. But the logic doesn't make sense because they don't talk about if you have more time, because you still got 24 hours. They talk about if you have more money. So it just lets you know what kind of woman it is. So when you actually dig down to the real layer, is what you find out is the woman is saying, I'm dealing with you, but you're not actually the guy I really want. Because you don't have enough value for you to be $1 million man to me, you have to have $1 million. But then she might encounter a super player that has no money, but I'm worth $1 million to her, just me. I the man. And if I had $1 million in my pocket, then I'd be worth $2 million. Because I also am a store of value. But she's looking at you as someone valueless, probably a placeholder. And that's what guys are not accepting. And so when they get on this red pill BS or this pickup coach nonsense, and they're like, just get in the gym. It's like, no, don't get in the gym, get in her head.
Yo, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't get in the gym, get in her head, because you could be the buffest on earth getting cheated on.
Because what you talking about, bro, is like, it's almost like when you do all those things, you're doing all these things with the goal to get a woman. It's like you're working for her.
That's
'Cause
crazy.
it's just like you're sitting there trying to apply
That
for
job.
apply for her. Like
Yeah.
I want to be your man. I'm swole. I got
That's
money.
right.
I got this. I got that. You're really tricking. And it's just like if you just on the other end when you like, and that's what you're talking about, the dynamic when you flip it, like she got to send the application in the
And
sense
she
of it's like
should.
I already like you're confident enough. You're like I already know I'm qualified.
That's right.
So like even if I approached you, I'm really presenting you an opportunity, and I just want to see what you're gonna do with it. Like talk to me about your qualifications. Even you talking about that Dr. Phil, you're asking questions because you said the person in power is asking the questions, and you're really trying to interview the girl to figure out if she's a good fit in your life.
Tabernacle.
No, for sure.
Tabernacle.
And you know what I mean? Like it's, and even being around you, man. Like I feel like I know that, but like even with just being around you guys and all that different, bro, it just really speaks to my soul, bro. Because it's just like I could feel like I know all this different, and then it's just like, damn, bro, like there's like an infinite well of like so much, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I want to know like how you think of it in the sense of like, I feel like you're someone that's always growing. You're always like keeping a listening ear open and everything, and I do feel like you're consistent. I also feel like you kind of take form, and I feel like a lot of cats, like everyone here, I feel like is really growth oriented in the sense that they elevate and they continue to elevate. So how do you balance that sense of self-certainty in the like, hey, like as an entrepreneur and everything, like, yeah, I trust that I can figure it out, but also like there's more that I can learn, because sometimes that more for me, the more that I learn, sometimes I feel like I have to deliberate more on the action that I have to take, and I feel like that slows my action down.
You should definitely always prioritize action over thinking and reconsidering, because in the motion you're learning, right? Like in the midst of the action is where your learning really is. And especially if you're doing something that you have experience in or you have background in, you don't need to consciously think. That's why when I tell people about entrepreneurship, I say you don't think of a product, you experience a product. You experience it. Like, for example, every country I go to, I always say, how could a like me get rich in this? Because I'm a hustler, and I like to put my hustle up against anybody's hustle. So when I come into Vietnam and Hoi An, I'm looking around like, if I was one of these broke-ass Vietnamese motherfuckers, how would I get my hustle on so I don't have to walk around barefoot in this? If I just dropped in this, what would I be hustling? And you experience the idea. You don't think of it. The idea that I experienced, I said, I would sell socks. I would sell men's dress socks. Has anybody seen a men's dress sock?
Wow, that's crazy.
But they do sell a ton of shoes. They make shoes from scratch, handmade. They make suits, which both of them require men's dress socks. I wouldn't even make the dress socks. If I could import them, I'd import them. And if I couldn't, then I'd make them. But I'd get started on it. And the good thing about being a real hustler versus the dumb is you've seen a lot of places that make leather goods, a lot of places that make shoes, and a lot of places that make suits. Has one person seen a place that makes socks or sells socks?
No.
And that, ladies and saints, is why I'll always be a rich right there. That's the one. So that's why I tell people you experience it. I didn't think of that. I experienced it. Bought a couple suits and I was like, damn, you know what? Like even right now, I took in my denim. I was wearing some denim jeans and I needed them to take in the waist of them denim jeans. And I was like, damn, I'll just take these since they're ready so I could give them my jeans. And I was like, oh, these socks don't match. And a super player, man, you can't be looking average or below average. I was like, these are not the right socks for this. I need a pair of socks. And I was like, I asked the tailor, where can I go buy some socks? They're like, oh, we don't know. What? Do you make any? Do you sell any? No. Asked another tailor. Boom. That's the business. You experience it. Thinking is inferior. I don't have to think, but here's the thing. When you experience the right idea, if you have enough wisdom, you know it's the one. right? Like you can hear a couple ideas and you're like, oh, that one. I try to do less thinking now. So for example, I stole where's Mitchell? I stole part of Mitchell's suit. I stole part of Chris's suit. I stole Nick's jacket. I stole your jacket. I stole, who else? Did I get anybody else peeled off? So I realized that you could be an idea guy. That takes some real brain power. I'd just rather be the closer. A lot of people are opening all kind of shit. They're openers. This is all good. I'm the closer. The money's at the end. I'm the closer. Just bring me in when the bases are loaded in this. I'm hitting this out the park. I close. You know what I'm saying? I need to think of ideas. Oh, Nick, that was a fly-ass jacket. Hey, look here, little. Make this strip black. Make that black. Do that. Boom. Copy that. Saw his. I was like, oh, this jacket cold as shit. Yeah, I need it in black. Boom. We go on to the next thing. I'm the closer. And here's the colder part. I'm not gonna do this, but I could do this. I'd be like, Nick, that was a dope ass design. Then 2 weeks later, then see I got this up on mdblabel.com. His design. But it's really my design because I'm selling it. You see what I'm saying? Call me Jewish if you want to. Call me Jewish if you want to. But I'm the one that decided to make, he decided to wear it, I decided to make money on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that, but I'm just saying, that's how they play the game to where it's like, he needs to get some money because he thought of it. Well, he ain't think of selling it, though. Right. You see what I'm saying? And that's where they play that game with the black rapper, Jewish businessman. Well, this was just rapping. I was selling rap. He raps, I sell rap. And that's the key is like, are you really thinking like a hustler? Right. You know what I'm saying? Now, those were some cold-ass designs that's worth selling, but I'm trying to stay out of tangibles. You heard me? I'm trying to be in intangibles. Profit margins are higher. But that's how real hustlers are thinking. If you sitting back and you're like, man, which suit are guys really loving? Oh, they're really loving that. I'm like, oh man, would you wear that? Like, it's crazy, but would you wear that? And it's like, hell yeah, I'll wear that. I'm like, damn, like, might even go to the tailor, like, hey, how much was that? Like, how much would it cost if I sent you measurements from the United States? How much to ship that? Like, there's so many ways to work a dollar out of a situation, but I'm a true believer, just like in Goodfellas, they said one thing that sounds crazy to non-criminals. Criminal said to the other criminal, he says, like, so-and-so's husband's going to the can because he wants to go to jail. You only go to jail if you want to go to jail. Which to a non-criminal, you're like, bro, what the f***? It make no sense. And to a hustler, I say, you only go broke or you only stay broke if you want to be broke.
Bro, you touched on some real too, man, because there was a rapper from Cali that died, and he was talking a lot of in the sense of talking about, oh man, like, if all these guys are doing crime, why didn't they go to jail and we went to jail? And then the thing is like, on one end, that might make sense to somebody stupid because they're like, oh man, he's probably not really a criminal because he didn't went to jail. But like, if you're, with your philosophy and your logic and actually thinking, it's like, yo, that person went to jail because they're a bad criminal and they probably should stop doing crime. Because if you're going to jail each time you do a crime, you're not cut out for it and you need to go do something else. So asking why, like, I went to jail, why are we going to jail? They're such badass criminals. Yeah, because they're better than you. You're not a real criminal.
There's a percentage of that's true, and there's so one thing we would always say is that whatever someone's rap sheet is, that's like a third of what they've done.
For sure.
Generally speaking, right? It's a third of what they've done, but I would never, if I'm a real criminal and I want to do some dirt, I would never want to do dirt with someone that has a clean rap sheet.
For sure.
Like, I don't even comprehend that. It's like, how did you do that? Because growing up in the hood, like, you can catch a case for actually not doing anything. You could catch a case for being next to that. You didn't even know that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could just be a symbol like this in LA and they just drive up and you all getting patted down and, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Because they might pull up on this and like, oh, somebody's on probation. This is a gang assembly.
Oh,
like,
for sure. Yeah.
So,
affiliation.
Yeah, I don't trust people with no criminal record if I was going to do dirt. But more importantly, you're right in as much as the key of crime is to not get busted. But there's very few people that are that careful to where they can do crime on a consistent basis and not have an interaction with the law.
Oh, yes. 100%.
So one thing I will say that I always respected, and shout out to the big homie Suge, who's a real gangster, And people can say all they want about him, but all I've ever heard and seen is that is a real gangster. Okay, they actually hate people who are real on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
In LA, people got so much bad to say about tonight, but when he was out there in them streets, he was the boogeyman. Nobody with him, and everybody was scared. And I saw it with my own eyes in real life. So, but LA's all about gangster rap, right? So when he doing all this gangster, why everybody got so much bad stuff to say about him?
Right. He's just being him.
They were scared. So they want to say, oh, you're not a real gangster, but as soon as a real gangster show up, people don't respect it. They still got to say. You know, like even with 4X on No Jumper, people were like, oh yeah, like this in the county catching phase, like he's a real one. Well, he just got locked up 2 days ago and then whack 100s on him like, oh, I don't respect it. I told him to stay out of jail and I don't respect it. Well, no, 4X said he's a gangster and he's doing gangster shit, and he ended up in jail. This is perfect alignment. That's what should be happening. Mm-hmm. Just like I say, I'm a hustler. You might catch me hustling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
That's what I do.
For sure.
You might catch me getting to the bag.
For sure.
Don't be shocked. Say he do stock outs and he's a gangster. That's what he gonna go to jail. So people are phony liars. It's like the fake ones want you to be fake like them.
For sure. Yeah.
And most everyone is fake. Like we're mostly dealing with fakers on the planet Earth.
It's just tough, bro. Like, cause it's crazy, bro. Like when I hear you say this, man, it's like that's why like this is so refreshing, bro. Cause I'm around everybody, and I'm like, but it's like you face the world, and it's like you would. And it's like that same rapper you used to say, it's like, you think people would root for that, and not in a sense, right. I don't know, bro. It's like you're around a certain thing. It's just like, wow, this feels like the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. And then you go out there and you're like, hold on, bro. Like why does it like people are even those things like you're saying, like work hard, do your, like all those different things.
That's crazy.
And it's like, hey, like, like do everything with a smile, like leave it at the door, even like those corporate policies or whatever, and you're like almost a step above that, and you're doing what you do. You're not even worried about what nobody's doing. You really root for, like, and like people would still meet you with the hate, or like even when you like being a good person and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like mind-boggling, because like even though they'll tell you like, hey, like do that, but so when I hear you, it's like you gotta hide that and like do certain in order to like really maneuver, even though it's like you would think that would be embraced. Like you're a real you just tell the truth, bro, and you think people would like with that.
Oh no, they hate that. They hate that.
And it's just crazy to me, bro. It's like, and I'm around the real, and it's like, damn, like this is some real shit. Like, yo, man, I get like you get to say what you say, like like you say this crazy. I laugh because I understand the hyperbole. I understand the truth. It's like, oh, bro, it's just really just he's saying what he's saying, but like it's true. I can't say it's not. And like,
people know what I'm saying is real. And a lot of people, they don't want you to beat them. They don't want you to get ahead of them. They want certain pieces of information suppressed, and also people not telling the whole story. Like even like, for example, Andrew Tate. I just mentioned these people because they're well known to the audience. I don't give a shit about these people. I don't hang out with them. But like, say you got Andrew Tate and then Marquette Devon Burton, right? Mm-hmm. And we both walk in, both dressed in, or no, let's use Tristan Tate, right? You got Tristan Tate and Marquette Devon Burton. We both walk into a job interview wearing the exact same suit, right? We give the exact same performance in America. Who's more likely to get the job?
Tristan.
What? Well, we're the exact same suit, the exact same performance. Yeah, probably Tristan, right? Okay. So then you got a guy like Tristan Tate. Like, you don't need to go to college. No, maybe you don't need to go to college because you can walk in and look the part. Maybe they don't even ask you if you went to college because you look like you went to college. You look like 10 other that for sure went. But I look like 100 that didn't go. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so in my case, it's a stepping stone of legitimacy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there is a utility there, especially when you're operating at a certain level. Because Tristan and Andrew can play that black all they want. But I don't give a if your dad was black to you. Then he ain't black to me. And you ain't black. Okay? Not off no disrespectful shit. You're not black. I don't give a who said what. All of y'all can suck my and I beat the shit out of you. They're not black. Full stop. They're no more black than he is. How they black? Even if his dad looked like me, but he came out like that, he's not black. Even if I'm his actual father, if he came out like that, he's not black. But the reason I say that is because he's going to be able to use his appearance. Like, what you feel like doesn't mean you know what I'm saying? Just like Quad. Like, come over here, Quad. Like, this is a level of purity. Not for real. This is a level of purity that people fear. There's black people that fear this. You hear me? Like actual black people that fear this. You see what I'm saying? So the way he navigates the world, I navigate the world, Tristan Tate's white ass navigates the world, and then an actual white person navigates the world, it's all going to be different. So it would be a lie. Like if I had a son that looked like this, I'm going to coach him up to operate in a certain way. You feel me? And if I have a son that looks like this, I'm going to coach him up to operate in a certain way. But we're lying when we're like, well, he's black. Nigga, then what does black mean if Tristan is black? And that's no disrespect to them. They know what the I'm talking about.
Because they're sharing, like, you know, it's like a different, like, experience anyway. It's like you're going to have a different experience because they're going to look at you and objectively think you're black. They're going to, like, question, like, even my name is Daniel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Feel me? Like, you're gonna look at me like, oh, do you speak Spanish?
Right.
I'm like,
absolutely.
Right. Sometimes I get the interview, you're like, oh, you're bilingual, like, you know,
especially in Florida,
bro. Like they think you're bilingual and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but it's like you would look at me like they're thinking like, no, bro, like,
right?
Yeah, like it doesn't. Nah, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, we have to, you know, we just need to be real and know what position we're playing the game from. Like, they're all good positions. You heard me? They're all good positions. Like, quite a trying to get a modeling contract before I get a modeling contract because his look is more rare in the West. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we just got to play our position. Also, you're going to have height on me just because of genetics. You heard me? So I'm trying to catch me as soon as these shit. You heard me? My mom didn't breastfeed. I think she me up. Like, not that I'm short, but still, I feel like it could have been taller, though. You feel me? But people aren't being honest about, like, my whole point is this. People will give you advice from their position, not acknowledging that you're in a different position. And that's the that annoys me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to give a guy advice on women based on him having a mouthpiece like me. Yeah. I'll meet a that'll look me up and down like this wearing some flashy ass clothes. I saw him on YouTube. I'm out. I talked to the for 10 minutes. She's in. You hear me? I'm not going to give him advice on how to deal with the woman based on being me. For sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, for sure. But that's what these internet nerds are doing. They're giving you advice based on, I heard him say, I'm not going to name his name. He's like, yo, that's why every time I encounter a problem, I just think, like, I'm just going to get richer. You know, I was doing this, and, you know, I heard, like, someone said to me, like, hey, what would you do if you were, like, you were in the subway, and, you know, some guy came up and pulled out a knife, like, what would you do? I was like, well, I wouldn't be riding the subway. I'm just like, but most people ride the subway, you know, so you're not giving anyone helpful advice. You're just taking a classist position and saying, hey, you're broke. I'm not going to answer your question, but let me floss on you real quick. Yeah. You know, and it's like, that's just the kind of silliness. But the worst part is that the listeners are so dumb that they're like, oh, you're right. Yeah. I'm just going to get rich. It's like, well, no, probably you're not going to get rich. And what he just did to you is he actually locked you into endless unhappiness. Right. Because you don't think your life starts. You don't think the good life starts until you're rich. That's it. And then if you do get rich, which you probably won't, but if you do get rich, he locked you into something even worse. Because that was a lie. Mm-hmm. That's the part.
Because you know what's so crazy, bro? It's like, you have like a balance, and I think everybody here is very balanced in the sense of like they have a certain amount of success, looks, all these different things. Like it doesn't even make sense that somebody would say like you gotta be rich to like do your thing, because it's like, for one, like you told that story about how you were like so focused on $1 million.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
You wouldn't believe.
No, bro, you were grinding.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe.
And then you got to $1 million, like, yeah, I did it. You just live for that moment. You just, because now you have $1 million. It's like, okay, what about the life? It's like you weren't even thinking about your life up until that point. So
If I would have died during that process, that would have been like the most hurtful thing ever. Because it's like I was like a zombie going through it. Like there was no joy. See, what people don't realize is that like all of it is your life, not just when you reach the milestone. But here's the other piece, like with the money, people don't realize, money's not the root of evil. It just, it like exposes you to more evil, and it brings out the evil in people that have it in them. Chick hit me up with this one. This was crazy. Sent me a song. Somebody recently told me, maybe it was one of the saints, sent me a song like, hey, have you ever heard this song? It's a Coldplay song. I was like, no, I never heard that. One of the saints had told me like this is their last year touring. I said, oh, you're just trying to have some conversation. You just be talking. I was like, this is going to be their last year touring, I hear. Hits me back. Oh, do you want to go? Now, in her head, do you want to go? What does that mean? Yeah, like we should go and you should get us tickets. But the thing is, you have to, like, when you have money, you have to just be like, wait, hold on. If I was a regular dude, would she have said that? She went straight from, have you heard this song, to let's buy tickets and go to the concert. Isn't that something that normal people plan?
Right.
Save up for? And it means something? You give it as a big gift, maybe an anniversary or a Valentine's or something like that. Things have no meaning when the woman thinks you have money. All of a sudden, everything's accessible. Nothing has meaning. Gifts aren't even gifts. So if you take a woman to, like, say you're an average guy, you take a woman to a nice restaurant, like you guys get there's a butterfly, like, wow, what did I do right? If you're well off and you eat at good restaurants on a consistent basis, it's just like, we're going out to dinner.
My question to you is, so you use, is that why the love, like the loving piece, was in the second part of what you were saying, loving and optimism? You had competence and hardworking as your top two traits, and then you had loving and optimism as the second two traits, because if they were loving, they'd like show like when you do show those random gestures, maybe, or like, that unplanned thing, because you say you're not thinking about anything, you're just living in the moment, which means you're just doing. So I feel like if you'd want to share a good word, you would share a good word. If you want to do something kind for somebody, you would just do it. It's just kind of going and trusting that.
Well, see, that's why I tell you the money is not evil, but what it exposes in people is evil, because if you're a well-off person and I'm with you, if I'm just catching crumbs off of your table might be better than the meal on my table.
Right.
Crumbs off of your table may be better than the meal on my table. So if I'm just following you around, if I follow you around long enough, I'm going to eat at Michelin restaurants, and, I'm going to fly here and fly there, and I'm going to do this and that. So competence is at the top, because a woman who is competent, she's probably already earning well.
Correct.
She probably already has her own. She knows what it takes to get things, and she knows the value of things. You deal with a broke hoe, she doesn't even know what you're spending when you're spending it. She doesn't know, like, she never bought certain things, so she doesn't even know what it costs.
A little bit of a drizzle.
Yeah, I see that. We should probably start moving back toward the tail. Let's go that way. Oh, appreciate you.